A young couple struck an odd pose on a plane. The elderly woman sitting across from them took one look before quietly pulling down her eye mask. In reality, the girl was just struggling to pull her stuck clothing free. But the story of these bickering lovebirds went far beyond this single moment. A few days earlier, the girl had desperately needed to use a restroom and randomly walked into a coffee shop hoping to borrow their facilities, only to be told by the staff that it was for paying customers only. The long line ahead of her filled her with instant despair, and a man nearby noticed her predicament.
Honey? About to order. Do you want your usual?
The girl immediately understood his intention and quickly played along by calling out, "Honey." The man smoothly took her jacket, saying he'd wait for her to come out. And this teamwork left the girl with a much better impression of him. After using the restroom, she immediately texted her sister, saying she thought she'd just met her soulmate. Meanwhile, the man was outside nervously straightening his clothes. The girl got more and more excited as she talked and accidentally splashed water on herself in an embarrassing spot, which really bummed her out. Not wanting to leave a bad impression, she tried everything to fix it, even taking off her pants, and only walked out after all that fussing. But since this was their first meeting, they simply exchanged pleasantries and said goodbye. However, the man noticed toilet paper stuck to her shoe and couldn't help but point it out.
So are you gonna ask me out now?
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
Their hearts gradually drew closer, and they started hanging out together, going shopping and talking. That evening, they went to his place, where he thoughtfully cooked her dinner. Their relationship heated up quickly, and she stayed the night. The next morning, Sydney woke up and carefully slipped out of the man's embrace. He was awakened by the sound of her high heels, but for some reason, Sydney left the house without a word, which left Ben feeling a bit disappointed. Right after leaving, Sydney gushed to her sister about how amazing this guy was, only then realizing how rude it was to leave without saying goodbye, and she immediately hung up and turned back. Meanwhile, Ben's buddy had just arrived at his place, and seeing the kitchen in complete disarray, couldn't help remarking that he'd never seen Ben cook for any woman before. But because Sydney had just left so abruptly, the prideful Ben stubbornly claimed he was glad she was gone. Sydney happened to overhear this comment, and she couldn't believe what she was hearing, but still left in a daze. Yet fate had already written their ending, as Ben and Darren went to a restaurant to celebrate Darren's sister finding her match. What he didn't know was that the sister was Sydney. Although both were thrilled by this chance encounter, they both acted cold and indifferent. After everyone talked it over, they realized the two still had feelings for each other, so they decided to help bridge the gap. Soon the opportunity came, as their sister and Darren's sister were getting married and planned to travel to Australia with their respective families for the wedding. And surprisingly, Sydney and Ben ended up on the same flight. That night, Sydney needed to use the restroom again, but just as she reached the bathroom door, someone beat her to it. She spotted a cookie near Ben's seat and got an idea, but she accidentally hit the seat control button, and her clothing got stuck tight, so she could only tug at it forcefully in an awkward position. The muffled grunts she made surprised the nearby passengers, but the elderly woman across from her seemed accustomed to such scenes, and after making eye contact, quietly lowered her eye mask.